So you're considering a move to Denver, Colorado, and Littleton is starting to look like the place where you want to be, but you're not sure where to go because Littleton is pretty big with lots of municipalities. Well, I'm going to break down my top 5 picks of places to consider when moving to Littleton, Colorado next. Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Bill Knapp. I'm a residential realtor in the Denver metro area, and today I'm going to go into my top 5 picks of different Littleton locations that you should consider when moving into the area. I put this information together mostly so I can help people as they're getting ready to make the transition to our state or if they're moving within the state. That said, I am a local realtor and I would really love the opportunity to work with you. So as we get towards the end of the video, I'll have my contact information and details. Love for you to reach out and see if maybe I'm a good fit for you. So to get us going, the very first neighborhood that I have on the list is Grant Ranch. The Grant Ranch location will put you about 45 to 60 minutes away from Denver International Airport. And it's about 15 to 20 given traffic up to downtown Denver. And it's about a 25-minute drive to Red Rocks. It's also about an hour-ish or so to the Loveland ski area. One of the most unique things about Grant Ranch is it's one of the very few neighborhoods in the Denver metro and actually Colorado area that offers lakefront living. Marston Lake is beautiful and enormous, and there are multiple properties that rim right along the edge of Marston Lake. In addition to the lakefront properties, there's also a nearby attached golf course called Raccoon Creek Golf Course, which involves golf course living and communities, clubhouse, and access to an award-winning, really amazing golf area. Another perk about the Grant Ranch neighborhood is that it has a 55+ community, so it's perfect if you are actually living in the neighborhood and you might have an elderly spouse or parent or anybody in your family that could benefit from a 55+ community living right next to you, so you have this really good family continuity all within the Grant Ranch location. Now, to get into this neighborhood, you can expect to pay in the range of about $430,000, which will get you into a 3-bed, 3-bath condominium townhome, possibly. The single-family homes, you can expect to pay about $500,000 to $600,000, which will get you a 3-bed, 3-bath home as well. But you'll have a little bit more space. Those will typically carry about 1,200 to 1,700 square feet on the interior. That said, as you move up into the more luxurious locations along the Marston Lake waterfront and even in the gated communities near Marston Lake, you can expect to be paying anywhere from about $900,000 to $1.2 million plus, depending on what the market's doing at that point in time. And that'll get you about a 4 to 5 bed home with about a 3,000 square foot, upwards of 3,500 square foot interior. The last thing to consider about this community is that there is an HOA. There might be more than one in some locations, considering like the gated communities around the Marston Lake location. That does get you access into the community pool, which is very big and actually super beautiful. It also has a clubhouse and some tennis courts. In addition to that, you do have the access to the various trails and the parks. So all in all, this is literally one of those spots where you can probably find something for any walk of life. So one of my top picks for that Littleton location. The next neighborhood I recommend for my top 5 picks in the Littleton area is gonna have to be KenCarl, also known as KenCarl Ranch. This is a really unique neighborhood location on the western side of Littleton, and it's separated by a natural rock formation called the Hogbacks. The KenCarl area is roughly about 1 hour out to Denver International Airport, 40 to 45 minutes to get to downtown Denver from here, and then you're about a 15-minute Uber ride or just plain drive up to the Red Rocks area. And then you're about an hour-ish to the nearest ski location, Loveland. On the western side, you're going to be a bit more secluded because you're protected behind that rock formation being the Hogbacks. Over on the western side of KenCarl, you'll also be more attuned to seeing wildlife in your backyard. You have quick access to parks, trails, running routes. It's not uncommon to have deer, fox, coyote in your backyard as well because you're literally tucked in there in those foothill areas. Also on the western side, the communities tend to be a bit more tight-knit. You see a lot of neighbors talking to each other outside. It seems to be really busy there for the Halloween time frame with a lot of diversity of the different types of families. So all in all, a really great location. The only drawback to that being on the western side of KenCarl is that you are kind of secluded. You're a little tucked away, and it's an extra couple of minutes just to get into the highway locations or shopping or amenities. So plan for an extra 5 or 10 minutes in that regard. Now on the east side of KenCarl, you are actually really well positioned to get to basically all things that you may need to do, whether it be work, recreating, into the mountains, out to DIA, etc. Whatever you need, it's a pretty quick drive regardless of where you're situated with your neighborhood. For those avid golfers, you know that the golf course there in KenCarl is the Meadows Golf Club, which has some really amazing scenery, also subject to a bit of high winds and some difficult holes here and there, but it's great to have just right there in the center of the community. As far as school system goes, it's actually located in the Jefferson County School District, so it offers a wide range from charter schools to magnet schools, public schools, private schools, whatever you might need. There's some really good opportunities for whatever is going to be your kid's fit. On the eastern side, you can expect to get into a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom home at about 1,500 to 2,000 square feet in the price range of around $500,000 to $550,000 in today's current market. Now there are other homes that are a bit more expensive in the eastern side. There's also condominiums and townhomes, and those will still start about that $430,000 to $475,000 range, and then the price will go up just a little bit depending on the HOA associated with the condominium or the townhome. Now in contrast, when you go across the highway and go onto the backside of the hogback formations on the western side of KenCarl, the homes there tend to be a little bit bigger. So entry level, you can expect to be paying anywhere from $850,000 to $900,000 for a 3 to 4 bedroom home with a 4 to 5 bath on the interior. And then as you move into the more luxury properties a little bit further onto the north side, as you get closer to the Red Rocks location, homes there are running right about $1.5 to $2.5 million. So definitely a bit more pricey, but it comes with that really unique feel of not being too far from the city, not being too far from the mountains, kind of that Goldilocks zone that a lot of people think of when they move into the Colorado area. The next stop on my top 5 picks is going to be historic Littleton. It will put you about 50 minutes away from Denver International Airport, about 25 to 35 minutes to downtown Denver. You're roughly about 30 minutes or so to Red Rocks, and because you are a bit further to the east, you're about an hour and a half-ish to Loveland Ski Area. The downtown main street of Littleton is fantastic, loaded with shops, amenities, really great restaurants, unique butcher shops. So the Main Street area, historic Central Littleton, is just really wonderful, not only for living, but also for date night. And don't forget about the farmers markets, and there's just so much to go see and do in the historic Littleton area. Now, traditionally, when I talk to people and reference historic or Central Littleton, a lot of people say, oh, but it's just so old there, meaning the homes are old. And that's actually pretty true. A lot of the homes are ranch-style homes that were built way back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. That said, a lot have been updated or are currently being updated and renovated. And as you get into the Main Street area and surrounding blocks, there are a lot of new developments going in, which include condos and townhomes, a couple of row homes. And then if you want something a little bit more expensive and robust with a little bit more exclusivity, go to the southwestern side of historic Littleton. That'll get you down towards Cooley Lake and the areas of the Polo Reserve, and that is a wonderful gated community, and some areas not gated. Just great homes, big size plots, and nice views. Now, similar to the other neighborhoods I've already recommended, this will be a good school district, which means you can do anything you might need to do to fit your kids' educational needs. Couple that with the fact that there's some retirement communities, there's Arapahoe Community College, a seminary college, Hudson Gardens for outdoor concerts and holiday events. It's a really good, diverse location, so it's got a little bit of something for all walks of life. Now, when it comes to housing in this area, you can get into a condo, townhome, possibly a row home for about $250,000. It probably will just be a 1-bed, 1-bath studio, and it'll likely have an HOA attached to it. If you're looking for something along the single family route, you can expect to be paying in the range of about $475 entry point for an older, probably not updated home, upwards towards $575 to $625 for a more renovated ranch style single family home. Now, those single family homes will include roughly 2 to 3 beds and 2 to 3 baths and about 1,200 to 1,700 square feet. The good side is that the plots, when they're built Littleton, are actually a little bit bigger. So you'll have a garage, typically a floor plan which has a similar floor plan below on the ranch style homes, and a good sized yard with some mature trees. So it's a little bit of a trade-off where you get into that neighborhood. Now, building off of those ranch style homes and getting into more of the 2-story homes, the renovated homes, and the homes that are just basically a little further out from the historic downtown Main Street area, you can expect to be paying anywhere from $675,000 upwards to about $900,000 for a 3-bed, 3-bath home with a decent sized yard and likely some moderate updates on the interior exterior. And then going all the way to the very top end of the spectrum, when you get into that Polar Reserve area around the Cooley Lake location, those are some really fantastic homes with great exterior and interior maintenance and updates. Typically they'll have concrete tile roofs, and those have about 5 to 6 bedrooms and 4 to 5 baths at the minimum, with a square footage on the interior of about 3,000 to 3,500 square feet. And you can expect to be paying in there right about $1.5 upwards to $3.5 million, depending on views, location, and all the updates associated with the property. Okay, up to the 4th pick. For this one, I went with Sterling Ranch. It'll put you about 55 to 65 minutes out to Denver International Airport, 35 to 55 minute drive up into downtown Denver. You're a 30-minute car ride out to Red Rocks, and then you are about an hour and 25 minutes away from Loveland Ski Area. Now, I chose Sterling Ranch because it is a new up-and-coming location. It's primarily new construction, with a handful of places having been built within the last 3 years or so, and it's projected to grow out when it's fully done to about 12,000 finished units. Now, one of the things I learned when talking to a few residents while I was visiting the Sterling Ranch area is they moved into the location not only because of the master planned community, but also because it has a great sense of like a community neighborly feel, and it's centered around the main hub being the Sterling Center, which includes UC Health, a dental center, a chiropractic center. There's a coffee shop there. There's also a microbrewery there, and they're building a Primrose daycare across the parking lot from the center. So it's just become like the central hub as a way to kind of get involved with the community and meet your neighbors. Because it's master planned, they brought in a wide range of builders, from lakeside homes to contemporary homes, row homes, and ranch style homes. And the exterior of these is different depending on who you choose as your builder. And you can expect to see homes built by Richmond Homes, Pulte Homes, Parkwood Homes, Taylor Morrison, Meritage Homes, and Dreamfinder Homes. Among those, the Parkfinder homes are actually quite unique. They have a bit of like this lakeside, almost like something you'd see on the east coast of the US. It's super unique, and they have amazing front wraparound porches. Definitely a style that I encourage you to check out if you happen to be in the area. Another benefit about living in Sterling Ranch is you're located next to 2 state parks, being Chatfield State Park and Roxborough State Park. And because you're a resident there of Sterling Ranch, they will issue you 1 state park pass for free per year, which is kind of an added benefit of just being one of the residents. Now, being a newer community and inventory being tight as it is, you can expect to be paying a bit more to move into the Sterling Ranch area as you would compared to other locations I've referenced as far as neighborhood picks for Littleton. That being said, for an average 3-bed, 3-bath home at about 2,200 to 2,500 square feet, you can expect to pay on the low end roughly about $650,000, likely closer to that $700,000 and $725,000 mark to get started. As you move up in size and square footage, you can expect to be paying anywhere from $725,000 upwards to about $1.2 million, depending on scenic views, location, and finishes, and whatever package you pick with your builder. So a unique factor about Sterling Ranch, completely opposite of what you'll see at the other locations I've referenced, is that they are subject to what's called a metro tax. They're in a metro taxed district, which means there is not an HOA, but they will be taxed based on the property value of their home, and that is assessed roughly every couple of years. So depending on how properties and inflation and cost and value of your home goes up, the metro tax district will probably raise it based on that, which means you could be subject to some pretty steep hikes over the time compared to if you had an HOA, which are only assessed once every year or so with very minimal kind of updates. So it's a bit of a risk-reward factor. That said, what's included with that metro taxing district is you do get that state park pass that I mentioned, plus you get access to the pool, to the trails, to the playgrounds, the community event center, and just the location and being part of that new community in its entirety. And finally, my last pick for areas to consider in Littleton would have to be Roxborough Park. Now, being tucked away in the southwestern corner, you are a bit removed from basically everything. You can expect to be driving about at least 1 hour to Denver International Airport, roughly 50 minutes to an hour plus to get to downtown Denver, 30 minutes to Red Rocks, and at least an hour to an hour and a half to Loveland Ski Area. There are 2-lane roads that you can take, both from the northern side and the eastern side. Eastern will come off of Santa Fe and northern will come straight off of 470. But these 2-lane roads are pretty busy, and when I drove in and out of the area, whether I'm showing or just doing some work for videos like this, it took me about a solid 15 minutes or so to get to the highway. Now, don't let the whole seclusion thing scare you. Once you get down into the Roxborough Park area, it's really pretty wonderful, and they have plenty of shopping and restaurants and amenities and schools. It's just a matter of taking those 2-lane roads to get down there. Roxborough Park has a division in it between this rock formation, creating a bit of like a west side and an east side between the neighborhood and some pocket neighborhoods within. So if you're going down the main street and you go to the western side of Roxborough Park, you can expect to move your way into a golf course community that is attached to Arrowwood Golf Course, which is an award-winning 18-hole course. And as you move into that neighborhood, you can get anything from townhomes to new construction to homes that were built all the way back in the 70s. Now you move over to the eastern side and there are homes that were built in the mid-80s. They tend to be on smaller parcels of land, and you'll run into 2 stories plus ranch style homes, and there are some natural lake formations inside of there, which is kind of cool for a little bit of that lakefront-ish feel. And they have great schools plus a great dedicated skate park. Now, one of the major features that Roxborough Park is best known for is being sort of located and living with wildlife, because you're nestled in there not only with Roxborough State Park, but you're also pretty close to Chatfield State Park, and you're near Waterton Canyon. It's really common to have deer in your front yard. Sometimes you'll see wild turkeys. It's really common to have hawks overhead, and then you have the usual small rodents. So you are living with wildlife, which is kind of awesome, but if that's not your thing, just take that into consideration and maybe look on the eastern side of Roxborough Park. Now, cost for homes can vary quite a bit. So on the eastern side, the average price point you can expect for a single family home with 3 beds, 3 baths, and about 22 to 2,500 square feet is right in that range of about $500,000 to $575,000. Townhomes are going for roughly about $450,000 to $475,000. Still 3 beds, 3 baths, but a bit smaller. You'll be closer to that 1,700 to 2,000 square foot at the top end. Now, if you go over to the western side of Roxborough Park, there is a luxury community at the top end called Ravenna. Those homes in Ravenna typically have about 4 to 5 bedrooms and 4 to 5 bathrooms minimum, with about 5,000 square feet unfinished and upwards of 6,000 to 6,200 square feet finished on the inside. Price point starts at $1.2 million for Ravenna and goes all the way up to about $3 to $3.5 million, making it one of the most expensive areas in southern Littleton. Now, if you move a little further south along that western corridor, you can get into homes that are still really, really nice, not quite as big and luxurious as Ravenna. Those will be about $1 million to $1.2 million, getting you 4 beds and 5 baths, and those are about 3,000 to 4,000 square feet finished. If you go a little bit further down towards the golf course, you can get into homes for around $600,000 to $700,000 with the stucco exteriors, and also quick access to trails like the Colorado Trail, and still have pretty quick access to Arrowwood Golf Course. Overall, Roxborough Park is really well known. It's just a little bit far to the south, so it could be, like I was saying, a love it or hate it location. Still one that I highly recommend checking out because you are living with nature and you're not too far off of the main road, so it's a pretty good isolated spot if that's your fit. And there you have it, my 5 recommended neighborhoods to check out when looking in the Littleton location. Hopefully this was some helpful information to give you some tips and some ideas, some things you may have not already known. If you liked what I was saying or you picked up something new and valuable, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you know the next time that I push out a new video so you're notified and you don't miss a thing. Additionally, if there's anything I didn't cover or if you have questions on some of the information I provided, leave me a comment below and I'll do my best to answer that as soon as I can. or just shoot me a quick call, text, or go to my website and leave me a message there, and I'll get back to you that way. Again, my name is Bill Knapp. I'm a residential realtor here in the Denver location. As much as I like to provide this information to you, it'd be wonderful if I had the chance to work with you. So reach out, call, text, or email. I'd love a chance to sit down, take you to coffee, and see if working together is a great fit. And remember, like and subscribe so you know when the next video comes out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.